Rev up your engines! We got a Honda, it's got a little problem. Hesitates, it can jerk at times. The problem with modern cars are everything's computerized. So, it could be the engine, it could be the transmission, it could be a vacuum leak, it could be lots of things. Unfortunately, even a mechanic like me that's been working on it for 56 years can't say, oh yeah, here's what it is. In my grandfather's day, it was pretty easy because cars were simple. We could tell, okay, this is the engine, this is the transmission, but today, they're all integrated. So the first thing we're gonna do is put a scan tool on this thing. Now they got the diagnostic port hidden way in here, but there it is. So here we go, it's detecting what it is already. We don't care with the standalone diagnosis. And you can see it's loading itself. It read the VIN already. And we're in the United States, so it knows it is a Civic 2011. Doing a lot of thinking here. Usually it's not thinking that long, but hey, here we go. Can do a CAN topology scan. And while it's scanning, we'll look around. We got it for his daughter. They're nice little knock-around cars. This is an older one, so it's got an actual emergency brake and not that horse renewal or electronic one. Got a reasonable amount of room in the back seat. And they got some nice seat covers they put on themselves. The stapled on liner here. They do have a tendency of sink, and if you don't mind little dimples, hi, it's all stapled in. How often do you really look up there, you know? Let's analyze everything, realize, like I said, the automatic transmission, the engine system, it's all related with computers. And as we can see here, it's found 9 trouble codes so far. So we're going to start by analyzing them. Now, the TPMS is a stupid tire pressure monitoring. That isn't going to make it run weird. It says all the tire pressure's low, but they really aren't. It says signal failure, so we'll just erase it for giggles, but it'll probably come back on. Just get a tire pressure gauge, then you don't have to spend $500 or $600 changing those stupid things out. Go to the airbag system. That shouldn't have anything to do with it. We'll see what those codes are. Airbag cutoff thing, we don't really care about that. That has nothing to do with the thing running. Last one is ABS. Traction control system. Modulator has low voltage. Now, I do notice one thing. We can see here, it's only got 12.3 volts. So, first thing we're going to do is check the battery here. Battery capacity, standard battery. We'll do cold cranking, and we'll see what this baby says. Of course, you know, half it's hidden there. It's 500. So, we'll put that down to 500, and we'll test it. There's nothing wrong with the battery. Says it's great. So you recently put the battery in. We don't have to worry about that. That's working fine. Battery's okay. We'll start her up. And we're going to look at raw data. Start with the PCM. Remember, black is good, red is bad. We're going to see if anything here is really off. And the MAF sensor's fine. Throttle's fine. And we can see the air-fuel ratio is 14.7 to 1. Now it's 0.6. 14.7 there. 14.7 is perfect. And the lambda, 1 or 0.99. 1 is perfect. 0.99 is 1/100th off. So the vehicle's actually running quite well. The short-term and the long-term fuel term are just about the same, which are less than 1%. So that means it's running pretty close to perfect for a vehicle that's got 114,397 miles. So we'll go through, look for more data. Maybe we'll see something red, maybe we won't. The alternator's working fine. We already tested the battery. That was fine. The father of the girl who has this had a 2009 Accord, and he went to the Honda dealer. They tried to sell him a transmission. He said, you need a transmission. And he said, I think the alternator's better. He didn't pay him for the trend. He drove out and it died. And they put an alternator and that fixed it. So, like I said, you got to check the electronics. But in this case, they're fine. We can see the history, absolutely no misfires, running perfectly fine. We don't see any red data anywhere. So let's go back to transmission data. Here we go. We gotta wait till that's done. That's how these things work. Automatic transmission, and we'll look at live data. See if anything screams out. Nothing so far. It's a good thing that the father's here because he's gonna drive it. We're gonna watch this data while we drive down the road. We're gonna go down the road and I'm gonna watch the data. That was a good shift. That was a smooth shift. So far the data's all good. Shifting smoothly. Transmission's actually in really good shape. It's shifting normally. There really isn't any slippage. The commanded and actual shifts are almost exactly the same. Maybe they're off a couple thousandths of a second, but I mean, hey, they're bad when they're like 1.5, 2 seconds off. So this transmission's actually in pretty good shape. I discovered there's really nothing wrong with this car. They just got it. He wanted to make sure it was safe for his daughter. The transmission is in tip-top shape. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, it didn't do it on me, but every once in a while, the thing is stalling out occasionally if you stop real fast. Now, change the air filter, so there's nothing wrong with that. You're just gonna find a Honda like this with an automatic transmission, with this kind of mileage and age. Every once in a while, they're not going to have perfection because of age. If they don't get everything perfect when you come to an idle, they can shake and hesitate a little bit. He's going to put some of Bernie's cleaner in it because that'll clean the injectors. He'll probably find that it'll stop doing it entirely. If it doesn't, and still every once in a while, especially at higher speed, you come to a stop and it'll shake and maybe it'll stall once in a while, realize this. This is a regular automatic transmission, okay? It's not a CVT. As such, it's got a torque converter in it. When they age, they can get a little bit on the funky side. And so when you stop real fast, instead of the torque converter releasing the torque of the engine, it has to when you come to a stop, otherwise the engine would stall. They have a tendency of occasionally sticking, they'll make them idle low, conk out every once in a while. And if that's the case, you live with it. Heck, my old Celica's been doing that for 10 years. When I come to a stop, sometimes it shakes too much, I shove it neutral, and you know what? It idles like a dream, man. I'm not going to be tearing the transmission off to put a torque converter on because it runs perfectly fine otherwise. And this Honda Civic isn't even close to it. It didn't do anything when we were driving. It didn't try to stall or anything. It's still in decent shape. I mean, this has got 114, that's got 240,000 on the Celica, so a lot more wear with a lot more mileage. And maybe this will get bad enough that you're going to have to shift it into neutral when it's got 240,000 miles on it. Hey, if that's the only thing that's wrong, shift it into neutral. What the heck? One advantage of this being a 2011 is this. It doesn't have complex crap on it. It doesn't have a turbocharger. It's normally aspirated. It's got normal fuel injectors. It's not direct injection. These things can basically run forever. They don't have the oil dilution problems that modern Hondas have. And I know Honda says, oh, don't worry, we fixed it. Oh yeah, take a look at some late model Hondas, especially the GDI turbos. Take out the oil dipstick and smell it. Most of the ones I get, they smell like gasoline, because there is oil dilution. Check this thing out. It smells like oil. It doesn't smell like gasoline. So in this case, good news. It's not often you go to a mechanic who tells you you don't need to do anything, right? I mean, I'm honest about it. Most people aren't. I mean, look, he took us a Accord to a Honda dealer. They wanted to sell him an automatic transmission. And what did he do? He needed an alternator, and that's what fixed it. So, these are great cars. You've seen how somebody who knows what they're doing tests it out. I saw the data for that transmission was fine. It was shifting perfectly fine. So there's nothing wrong with it one iota. The engine itself is in good shape. Look, it was almost perfect. 14.7 to 1 is the perfect air-fuel ratio. That's what it was. And then it went between 0.99 and 100. 100 is perfect. So, hey, there's nothing wrong with this car other than it's a little bit old, you know, but it's still running almost perfect. A little shaking maybe when it comes to a stop. It didn't do it to me. Try Bernie's cleaner. If it fixes it, great. But if not, hey, who cares? Put it in neutral. Save yourself a lot of money. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Sherm624 says, I have vibration after new tires were installed on my car. I got a 2011 Pilot. I had new tires, the original size. It vibrates at 45. I can feel it. What are the possible causes of this? Well, the possible causes are the guys that put the tires on either sold you really crappy tires that can't be balanced or did a crappy job putting them on and balancing them. Now, sometimes there are tires that are so poorly made, they're so off balance that you can't counteract that by putting weights, right? But more often, the idiots didn't balance it right. I had that happen to a guy the other day here. Brought me a car, says, Scotty, I got these tires. Now it's shaking it. 40. Take it out on the road, sure enough, it's shaking, right? I thought, what have you done lately? He said, well, I had these two tires put on the back, right? I look at the back tires. I take them off. I put them on my balancer. One of them was way off. Bubble bouncer. I've got an old-fashioned bubble bouncer, and the bubble goes in the middle, just like on a level, right? And it's way out to the side. So I rip all the weights that they had put on the tire off. And when I took them all off, it was almost perfectly centered. Actually, didn't need any weights at all, right? Put it back on, the shaking stopped. Odds are the idiots did not balance the tires right. And I see it all the time because a lot of these tire companies, they hire people off the street, pay a minimum wage, have no training whatsoever, and they do such a sloppy job, they don't get it right. Now, the other thing could be, and you want to check this right away, if the idiots didn't put the tires on tight, the lug nuts are coming off, it's going to start wobbling. wobbling. Dad, get a little wrench and at least check them first before you go anywhere. Because if they didn't put the tires on tight and it's shaking, they could fall off down that road. I had that the other day. Guy went to the Ford dealer for free tire rotation on his new Ford. He got about 6 blocks down the street and the left rear wheel fell off. They didn't put it on right. And this is at the Ford dealership. So check the nuts to make sure they're on tight first. They might fall off on you. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.